brief update of the landscape architecture, the campus-wide. It's a sort of an update of what you saw in November. Very briefly, some of it you've seen already, some of the images, and some images were done more recently, but the design itself is not an update. So I'll go quickly if you have any questions. So the overall site plan is pretty much as you've seen it in November. The new or the more recently coordinated item in the landscape is this arc, the landscape around the corporate co-location building, which were in reconciliation sort of design since they came on board a little bit later. And you've seen the building in November, you approved it to my recollection, and so the landscape coordination ensued, and this is what you see today. And this is the focus sort of the update, if you will. However, we're also showing you new images that were created since and that we will show next week in the town hall meeting. So this is the campus looking west, and you can see the building that you've seen before. Those are new renderings, and the southern portion here as well. It will be meadow. You see this looking east. The view is looking east at the first academic building right here, the corporate co-location behind, which you've seen again in November. This is yet to be designed hotel and yet to be designed residential building. The Great Lawn is part of phase 1 here, and this depicts what you will get. And the southern portion is the next phases in the future. Phase 1 will show it as it is a meadow open to the public. With some amenities in it. And I'll show some images later. A little bit more detail around this as an update, by way of updating. What you have is the entry court here that remained as it were. The main access to the building is right here. There are sort of terraces, lawn terraces that are also stepped down. One could actually walk across it, and with built-in furnishing, and also pathways on both sides of this sort of shallow stepping terrace. Around it, it's pretty much what you've seen before, in fact. You have the same sort of planted area. We have these occupiable balconies, we call them, with program ping-pong tables and picnic tables and so on. On the eastern road, we have this outdoor amphitheater that can accommodate small events or classrooms. And this brings us back around. And again, this has been there before, and the planting beds were there also before. You see the palette that we're looking at is kind of a riparian landscape, very minerally rich. Bonded aggregate surface, a seat wall that would be very low lying, that would sort of delineate the arcs. It's a precast concrete and sort of planted rocky landscape. You see kind of the variety of the rock types or sizes, I should say. This is the surface that we're using is a similar process to, or identical process to the Fort Freedom Park that they've used. With different aggregate as a finished layer, but the process is the same. It's an ADA surface. And it's sort of the boulder landscape. You bring it out there. Yeah, that's right.
Sound of music, is it?
And you see more arid planters, and this is the stormwater area, stormwater management, which last time we have not shown you this slide, but the idea is that at the perimeter, as you remember, the site is kind of built as a ridge, so it's lifted at the center, and where all the entrances to buildings are coming off the ridge as a part of the resiliency idea for the site. So the stormwater will be collected and be channeled to these little stormwater gardens, all of which also infiltrate the water before it spills into the river and cleans the water. So there's kind of cavities of aggregate that's engineered to clean the water, the stormwater runoff. so in every which direction. And continuing the strategy will be also for phase 2 and 3 later on. And you could see there's a little bit of a criticism, why aren't we seeing any technical details? We have a lot of technical details and a lot of engineering work. This is sort of showing you the stormwater at the lawn, a visualization of that. The seat walls that delineate the arcs, which the idea is that they kind of hold the parcel for the building, will look something like this with this sort of color palette. Those are samples that we're getting now from actual fabricators. Newer images of the same design you've seen before. This has not changed. The entry with the cherry allays and the esplanade unchanged. This is the entry to the campus. And looking back from sort of midway along the path towards the bridge, this is what you will see. This is kind of the circular, what we call entry court, it's a kind of feature seating moment, but it also will be a kind of a hub of entrances to buildings, so we want it to be porous from a circulation point of view and socially. Sort of looking like this in year X. This is the campus plaza, what we foresee to be the future heart of the campus. And when phase 2 is completed and 3, this would be a kind of the hardscape that, programs that require hardscape like little markets or seasonal events. This would happen right here. And you see here the lawn steps to the corporate co-location building, and there's a cafe here at the first academic building, and the lawn will also have events, and we have enough space there, and we're bringing power and possibilities to this area. It could be, bigger events than say the outdoor amphitheater that you've seen before. There'd be kind of a feature paver within the plaza, yet still flat, so we could have flexible events and potentially bring movable furnishings and things like that, but the idea is that it is flexible. Circulation to this plaza is from every which direction. Importantly is these kind of feature tree species that would have really amazing colors in the fall when the students come back, but also year-round sort of very stately trees. The lawn view here, looking at from a pedestrian eye level, you see the first academic building and the corporate co-location. This is what you will sort of be surrounded as you're in the lawn and the plaza.
Can I just go back for a second? On the left, you see on the right, you see the movable seating. People who are familiar with the zoning documents know that we made commitments through city planning to publicly accessible seating on the campus, and so clearly the seat walls comply with that. Also, all the benches that are around campus, but we also made agreements with movable seating and cafe-type seating. So this was a way to create a cafe-type seating that was really part of the lawn as well.
And part of it is also variety of seating that they are concerned with. So, and we too, it kind of encourage different type of socialization around them, and partially with backs, partially without, and so on. So just to allow for various. The outdoor amphitheater in the back, and sort of a visual of what that would look like. A little softer, smaller, for smaller gatherings, and ornamental shrubs and trees around there, and sort of the southern portion of the corporate co-location with the stormwater to the side here, and the more arid landscape. Southern landscape, the interim landscape, not actually changed since what you've seen it last time, but nevertheless we brought it again. This is kind of the path south of the lawn. We will have a meadow mix that is native, but that also there will always be a species in bloom. That's the intent, and attracting pollinators and nesting of small birds and so on. The intent is to have it really alive and potentially also as an outreach to the community and so on, have this as part of the life of whoever visits it and the learning environment. The idea is that this meadow will be mowed, so the pathways will be accessible and walkable. However, everything, you could actually walk everywhere, but some will be tall and some will be mowed. Twice yearly, we probably will mow everything in fact for the health of the meadow. There's outdoor fitness stations surrounding this meadow that again will be accessible to everybody. And a flatter area for free play at the southernmost portion. And then we're keeping a couple of the arcs in the south portion again for research, educational, and outreach gardens that would also have kind of thematic to them. There's interest in Cornell and some of the faculty to explore edible gardens, explore changing climate's effect on plants, and again, of course, pollinators and nesting grounds and the composting and all that good stuff. And I think this is my last slide. It's beautiful.
Any question for Larry?
A quick question. What, you may have gone over this a while back, and it may be for you and it may be for Andrew. You're filling in the site to achieve a base elevation above the whatever the flood thing is. So what elevation is that?
You know, I think it's around elevation 19.
19?
With the central spine, 19 to 21, somewhere in that range.
So will that be?
That's well above the 100.
I know.
Well
Yeah.
above.
Will that be consistent throughout the site, or is there an elevation difference between the loop road and the center of the site?
Yes, of course. The loop road remains where it is.
Right.
We are not changing it.
We can't change the loop road elevation. That's determined
Okay,
by.
Okay, so but that's not it. Is that's
No,
lower
that's
than 19,
somewhere
right?
between elevation, maybe 11 and 13, 11 and 15.
Okay, so you're going to
The
have
site, there is a
right.
natural ridge on the site.
Yes.
You walk on the north or the south
right,
roads,
right.
you go up and then down. So we're really building on that natural ridge. We're making it a little taller. But the site slopes down in both
Yeah.
directions from the center, but it's a fairly gentle slope.
And actually, that's a good question in that way, that the ridge is actually determined by ADA accessibility. That's without ramping. So it's no steeper than 5% at any point on the site.
I'm Christina. Thank you. I just wanted to ask, because part of the exciting collaboration is outdoor, commitment to outdoor educational space, and I see a lot of opportunity here. The obvious ones, school kids visiting the edible garden and things like that, but then some not so obvious ones. This idea of the stormwater gardens is taking off in cities all across the United States, and that kind of engineering. So I just wondered about, this is the open part, this is accessible. I see the amphitheater as a potential educational field trippy place. Is that kind of how you looked at it, and how you could imagine it being used as well? And the second part of the question is, I know there'll be a meeting room for the community to be able to use and have access to, and I wasn't sure where that was located, if that was in phase one.
Outside the ring.
I'm sorry?
Outside the ring.
Oh, you're going to give me a movable chair, no doubt. Into the East River.
Yeah, we agree. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about the plan is that, particularly in the interim phase, the idea of having research, having potential. Cornell has a very large and successful programs in horticulture, and so there are professors who are interested in doing research and sharing that. Part of the research is the communication outreach about the research. Now, we see the amphitheater, yes, it's part of the public landscape.
Great.
So we would love to have the students use it in at times, and certainly everyone's invited to use it because it's part of the public landscape. The meeting rooms that we're looking at opening up the community are in the first academic building, which is on the western side of the site in here. So yes, part of phase one.
Okay. And that 2.5 acres is throughout. I know you showed one slide that had the entire island kind of, and it's just that you could weave through.
It's actually more than 2.5.
Okay.
The phase one open space is about 3 acres.
2.5 acres is the commitment for the whole project. Based on our numbers, roughly over 3 acres for phase one are open. So we had always intended to exceed that commitment.
Terrific.
We're gonna deliver a huge amount of open space in phase one.
So I can go and free play down in the meadow. Thank you very much.